friends. Welcome to Sky House Herbs podcast. I'm Ashley Ellenboss, a clinical herbalist, and in this space, I share my knowledge and experience with plant medicine to help you on your own journey of healing and transformation. Join me in exploring the ancient wisdom of plant spirit medicine and how it can be used to heal the body, mind, and spirit. We'll talk to experts in the field and share stories from people who've been transformed by powerful plant allies. New episodes are released each Monday, so please subscribe. And now, let's explore this mystical world of plant medicine together. Hey everyone, welcome in. Today we'll be talking about non-alcoholic options for people who are interested in taking herbal medicines. I recently got a comment from someone who had listened to one of my Herb of the Month videos, and she goes, I'm really interested in tinctures, but I don't do alcohol. So what are my other options? And I was like, you know what? This would make a wonderful topic. So thank you for posting that question. And a lot of so I've been in Al-Anon now for 4.5 years, and Al-Anon is for family members and friends of alcoholics. And so in my family, alcoholism, I grew up with alcoholism. And so making sure there are alcohol-free options for those who are in recovery, for people who are avoiding alcohol, maybe you have liver issues. There's a lot of reasons why you might want to avoid alcohol. So I want to give you a lot of options so that you can take herbs in the most potent, best way possible for you and not have to feel like you're missing out because you can't do tinctures. Before I dive into the subject in more depth, if you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do. Just click and also like the video if you find it helpful. Every click and every subscription helps people to find me so that people can learn more about herbs and how to live a life where you can use herbs and plant medicine to support your health and vitality. So thank you for subscribing. Now let's talk about what a tincture is, why people take them, and then what are the alternatives. So a tincture is an alcohol-based extract. The reason why a lot of people like to use tinctures is for a few reasons. One, alcohol when blended with water. So tinctures are usually somewhere between 40% alcohol and 60% water, sometimes up to half alcohol, half water. You really need a minimum of about 40%. Some people say you can get away with 20, but I really like 40% alcohol to preserve it. And a lot of people like tinctures because it extracts really well. You extract the fat or oil-based compounds through the alcohol and the water-based compounds through the water element. And then those are blended together. And at about 40% alcohol, it's very shelf stable for 10 years, probably more than 10 years. And that a lot of people like that. They also like that, that they can take it pretty easily, in a dropper, something like this, where they can just open it up and, put drops. They don't have to prepare. However, it's not the only way to take herbs. There are other ways that are equally as convenient, but there are some downsides. So let me talk about teas first, because teas, I think, it personally is the best way to take herbs if you can. I will say that not every herb can be brewed as a tea. One reason is because it might taste awful. So I would never have someone brew themselves valerian tea or golden seal tea. I mean, you can drink them. I'm not saying you couldn't. I'm just saying for most people, they're going to find it very unenjoyable and they're likely not going to continue taking the herbs. And with most herbs, what makes them effective is taking them consistently over a long period of time at a recommended dose. So I'll just say that, water is a wonderful extractor, but it's a terrible preserver. So making a tea is something that if that's the way you want to use the herb, you're going to there's a few reasons why it's wonderful, because water is, it's a universal solvent is what they call it. So it extracts just about like most compounds will come out, even volatile oils, which we think of, oh, well, that's going to be fat soluble. It'll come out in a tea. It'll just stay on the surface of the water. So if you've ever brewed, usually the mint family plants do this. So let's say rosemary tea or peppermint tea, you might look on the surface of the teacup and see, oh yeah, I can see the oil on the surface. It doesn't have to extract exactly into the water, but you're going to get it in a tea blend. So teas are wonderful extractors. I like that you can modify the temperature, which modifies the actions. So you can drink a tea warm, and that really accentuates a lot of the warming, carminative qualities that are going to enhance circulation in the plant. And then you can also cool it, which can, when you drink a cool liquid, will cool the whole body. It will cause a little bit of constriction in the blood vessels and capillaries. So you can modulate also the way the plant moves through your body with the temperature. Downside, no preservation. So, you can stick it in the fridge. Sometimes I'll have people make 2 days worth of tea, and then you can store, half of it in the refrigerator. But usually after maybe 2.5 to 3 days, it starts to get kind of musky. It starts to basically ferment and get kind of yucky. So that is one of the reasons why a lot of people, they find it's a little bit more investment, a little bit more work. I'm sorry. I don't know if you guys can hear Hilda running around. Hilda, come here. She's like tap, tap, tapping across the floor. I don't know if my microphone's picking it up. Hilda, come here. And she's got her toy. I know some of you guys were like, "Well, I want to see Hilda more." There she is. Hilda. Hi. She's like, "I got the zoomies. So I'm just going to keep playing with my toy and running around." So if you hear tap, 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 that's what you're hearing. Okay, so I think that's it for tea, right? So water is a wonderful extractor, terrible preserver, and it's hydrating, which is good. And then I think the last thing I'll say about water is that I think that's the last thing I'll say about water. Okay, so now let's move to another option, which are glycerites. So a glycerate is usually it's made from vegetable glycerin, which is extracted from plants. You can also extract glycerin from coconut. And some glycerates are extracted from animal sources. So I think it's like a byproduct from the soap and candle making industry. So here's what I would recommend is most herbalists that are like small company, organic, they're going to be using vegetable glycerin. And on the label, you'll often see like, this is my friend Cara Bear Wallow Herbs based out of Mount Shasta, California. And she writes on her label that she uses palm-derived vegetable glycerin. So you kind of want to know what the source is, especially if you're trying to avoid animal products or petroleum. I don't think they'd use petroleum, but bee-based products. If you're vegan, you're probably going to want to look for a vegetable-based glycerin. And so this is an option for a lot of people. They like glycerins because, like a tincture, you can take it with a dropper bottle. It is much more stable than a tea, but it's a lot less stable than a tincture. So with a glycerin or glycerate, you're looking at more of maybe like a 6 month to a year shelf life. Sometimes they can last longer. I've had some last like 2 to 3 years, but it's definitely not going to be 10 plus years. And if it's exposed to heat, or if anything gets in there, it's going to spoil a lot more quickly. Glycerate is also not a great extractor. So it is like, if I were to put them in order of like greatest extraction, I would say probably you got teas and tinctures up there at the top, depending on what you're trying to extract, right? Like if you're really trying to extract more water soluble, tea is your best bet. More fat soluble, tincture is your best bet. And I might even put like tincture here and then tea here, just because you've got more extractability because you've got more options. And then I would put glycerate kind of down here. And the problem is that glycerates, they don't have a very strong extraction capacity. And so if you were to take side by side, let's say catnip, which is what I have here from Bear Wallow. Let's say you were to have catnip tea, catnip tincture, and a catnip glycerate. The strength that you're going to taste is going to be very, very different. And what each one of them are pulling out is going to be different. I will say that one of the great things about glycerates is that they do pull out tannins really well. And tannins are astringent, they're drying. It does pull out some volatile oils, not as well as a tincture, but you can get some volatile oils out in a glycerate. But tannins are sort of like the primo thing that will be extracted through a vegetable glycerate. And so plants that are really high in tannins, like maybe you want the tannins that you're going to pull out from chamomile makes a good glycerate. catnip, hawthorn, maybe some other astringent drying herbs would pull out into a glycerate. But the thing with the glycerate is you're going to have to take more of it. So it might be a little bit cost prohibitive for some people. So for example, the serving size is about 2 mils, but that's like maybe 4 times a day. So, it's going to be a little weaker, so you'll have to take more. But it's a wonderful option. So if you're trying to avoid alcohol and you're like, you know what, I don't necessarily want to brew a tea every day. I want to have something I can stick in my purse or my backpack or something I can travel with and take while I'm traveling, then a glycerate will be a really nice option for you and easy to take. It's a little on the sweet side. Unless it has a lot of tannins, then it's going to be sweet and astringent. But the vegetable glycerate in itself, just alone, has a little bit of a sweet quality to it. So that's kind of nice. It's also really nice for children. And, in our household, I do use tinctures with my kids. I'll often put them in a little bit of water when they were younger. I would add it to a little bit of warm water, which helps evaporate some of the alcohol off. And I would give that to them. They also love glycerate. So, this catnip glycerate, it's almost gone because this is what I give the girls when they are having big feelings that are getting stuck. I will give them some catnip glycerate to sort of help them process, speak, move big feelings through their bodies. And it's also helpful with sleep. So this is glycerites can be really helpful for children and again also for people that just maybe you don't want to have alcohol in the house. Maybe you have a family member in recovery, maybe you want to gift someone, or you're working with clients and they're in recovery. And the thing is that I think for people that are not in recovery or don't have a lot of experience with the disease of alcoholism or addiction, they can think, oh, well, it's just a few drops, right? Like it's not a big deal. Like it's about and one thing that, even I've said to people that have concerns, not with addiction, but just alcohol, is that, in about a normal dose of a tincture, it's about the same alcohol as you'd find in a ripe banana, which is just a way of saying that your body can process through the liver, the alcohol. It's a very manageable amount for a healthy liver. Now, it might not be a healthy amount for a diseased liver or a taxed liver. And for someone who has struggled with alcohol addiction, that taste can be triggering. So even though it might not be like, oh, it's the same as a ripe banana, that is not going to be a helpful thing for someone who has the disease of alcoholism, who smells that alcohol smell, because it's going to be likely triggering. Now, I do have people in recovery who can take tinctures. They are at whatever phase or, their unique journey. They found, like this is not this this is not a trigger for them individually, but we have to assume when we're practitioners or friends of people who are in recovery or even who are in active addiction, that it might be a trigger for them. So it would be, I would say, a more appropriate offering for someone to give them tea or to give them a glycerate form, so that way we're just not even, we're not adding that to what they're already carrying and what they're already dealing with. So I do want to say that we never want to downplay a person's experience with finding a tincture to be too alcoholic, because that's real. It is real. It is a disease. It is an addiction. And there can be all kinds of triggers, and certainly the smell and taste of alcohol are often a big one. So there are options for those of you who are in recovery, who are, wanting to work with people in recovery, really lean heavily into the teas. I think that's a great option. And then you can also offer the glycerates as you see fit. I'll include some links to other companies. I'll include a link to Bear Wallow Herbs. I know we use her lemon balm glycerate, her catnip. I think she has an echinacea glycerate. So there's a lot of glycerate options out there from Bear Wallow. I'll include links to some other sources as well that you can find. And you can make them. They're actually pretty easy. I wanted to share with you this book called Making Plant Medicine by Rico Check. He's the founder of Horizon Herbs, which is now he changed the name to Strictly Medicinal, and they're based out of Williams, Oregon. And him and his wife are incredible herbalists. I had a chance to meet them several years ago at the, what was it? The Black Mountain Herbal Festival that's held in Black Mountain, North Carolina. I think that's what it was called. But Yeah. So I got to meet them and they were wonderful. And I bought this book and I was like, yay. So I have all of his books on medicine making. The reason why you might want to have this book is because it walks you through step by step how to do vinegar extracts. That's another option I didn't even mention. So we can talk about that. How to, the basic formulas, solubility factors for making glycerites, how to make herbal syrups, how to make oxymels. And what I really like about this book is that it tells you for each individual plant, like this is blue flag, it'll tell you the part used and if you should use the fresh or the dried root or leaf or whatever is better. And then it tells you some of its uses, dosage, contraindications, and then processing tips from someone who has 40, 50 years of experience making tinctures. So this book is wonderful. I'll include a link to this as well. So just to add into the conversation, there's two more things I didn't even say is that you can make vinegars. Vinegars are so easy. I make those in the summertime and use them in salad dressings. And I'll just go out to my garden. I'll pick rosemary, sage, thyme, basil, throw them in some apple cider vinegar. I'll throw some violet leaves. I mean, you can do most things work really well and extract into a vinegar. And then you can just take the vinegar every day in a spoonful, and that's really good for digestion. It's also really good for detoxification. And then you can use it to add into dishes like soups and salads as a dressing. So that's a great way you can make your own herbal syrups. And then you can also, or that was vinegars, and then you can also make syrups, which is a sugar-based extraction, kind of like a glycerate in that it's using the sugar to stabilize. And syrups can last, a good year if you keep them in the fridge. So that's another option. If you're into the medicine making part, you won't find a lot of syrups and vinegars on the market just because they aren't very shelf stable. So if someone makes a huge batch, they're going to spoil in a much less amount of time than a glycerate or a tincture. But I'll include some links. I do know that Red Moon Herbs, they make some wonderful vinegars. And I think, there's a few other companies out there that I'll link you to. There's a wonderful hair rinse by Oshala Farms. They have a vinegar nettle hair conditioner. And the label's not only so beautiful, but it makes your hair really shiny. So I've been using that lately. And so you can do vinegar as a hair rinse. And it's really good for sealing the cuticles of your hair and giving it a little bit more shine. So that's really nice too. So I was looking up resources for you all to find more herbal glycerites. And I came across Eclectic Herbs, which is a company that I use. I don't think I have that on my desk, but I use their milky oat seed extracted because they freeze dry it, which is a really nice way to take milky oats. And I was looking at their glycerites, and they actually have a process they use to extract the plants using alcohol, and then they have a still that they evaporates all the alcohol out and they add glycerites in. So let me shoot over to their website and just show you what I saw so you can see what I'm seeing. All right. So I wanted to show you how cool this is because look, so they have a passion flower glycerate, it's passion flower full strength glycerate made from ethically harvested passion flowers, which are first extracted in organic alcohol for full potency. So that way you're getting everything from that is both fat soluble and water soluble. The alcohol is then gently removed using our unique Lloyd cold still process. And when I was looking, they actually have a lot of these glycerites available. So they've got a liver support, passion flower, bilberry, paraphyte, elderberry, valerian, echinacea, mullein, golden seal, and this is a compound oil. But even this golden seal liquid, which is hard to find, they extract it in the alcohol and they use the Lloyd cold still extractor. And then they add the glycerin back. So I thought that was really cool. And I wanted to share with you that they also use kosher vegetable glycerin, which is what you really want. It's really probably the healthiest and definitely okay for vegans. So isn't that cool? I learned something new. So thank you for the question. So I could do a little research, and I'll include that link in the description. And so you guys can find Eclectic Herbs and then all of those different glycerate extracts. The world is expanding. People are learning new ways. I love it. So Well, my friends, I think that brings us to a close. Please leave your comments. Let me know if there's anything I've missed. There's probably other, oxymel is honey and what is it? Oh, I think an oxymel is honey and alcohol together. So, or honey in a syrup. So that might not work if that's alcohol based, but there's a lot of other options. So if you can think of any, please write them in the comments. If you have additional questions that came up during the video, please leave them. And as always, I love your comments. Just tell me what's up. Tell me what you've been doing. Tell me your favorite stuff. And I have a new series called Ask Ashley, which is what this video is. And you can ask me anything. You can ask me about things that are going on in your life, herbs that might be helpful. You can also ask me about certain individual plants or formulas or, whatever. So I'm here. I would love to help and love to share some ideas with you. So email me at info@skyhouseherbs.com. You can click on my website, skyhouseherbs.com, click on the contact, and there's a form. You can ask your questions that way as well. So thank you for watching. And as always, I am so appreciative of you watching my channel, subscribing, and liking this video if you found it to be helpful. Thank you so much and have a good day.